All right, man. Well, lights, camera, action, motherfuckers. Welcome to the Dumbass Film Students Podcast, where us young filmmakers and those alike, just film fans, we come and we criticize people's masterpieces because we are not talented enough to make them ourselves. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, man, we're here. We're here to insult some shit, congratulate some shit, pat some shit on the back, and kick some shit while it's down. You know what I'm saying? But we're just dumbass film students. This is our irrelevant opinions. So who cares? That's why we just posted here on this podcast. My name is Rudy Wilson, joined with the homie Lonnie Cox, and then we got the homie. Obviously, we repping different sets. No, I'm just kidding. DA Daryl. What does the A stand for in your in DA? Is it just the first two letters of your name, or is it a middle name?
No, when I actually was coming up with that, I realized it could be potentially that, but it's actually for my middle name. So.
Did you come up with DA?
I did. So I came up with DA because I was going on IMDb Pro or IMDb just in general, and I looked up my name, and there were about 5 other Daryls. So I was like, I don't want to be in the midst of the bunch. So let's just, abbreviate my name.
There were 5 other Daryl Henrys, or there were 5 other Daryls in general?
I think they were like Daryl Henrys because I put Daryl Henry. So.
Fun fact. I was a part of the process. Not that I contributed, but I witnessed the process of DA still going through the transition. Because when I first met him, when I came to California, we'd be in class and they'd be like, "Yeah, so we got a Daryl Henry?" And he'd be like, yeah, well, I go by DA now." "Okay, so you want to go by DA?" "I mean, well, you can call me Daryl, but just DA is my, it's like my, what, like your stage name?" "No, not my stage name. It's my business name." And so, and we were just like, "Bro, do you want to be called DA or not?" This man went through all of this. So is it DA or Daryl? But I'm saying, I literally remember him going through that whole, transition, whatever. And he finally just like kind of accepted it. So, it was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And here we are.
It was actually a weird transition because, everyone's been calling me Daryl for like so long. So it's like
right.
Actually having to transition to being called DA and having everyone start calling me DA.
Right.
I don't think I've ever heard of someone giving themselves a nickname and having it stick so well, but I guess in entertainment it's a little bit different, right? Like if someone tried to give themselves a nickname in middle school, you'd bully them to death. You know what I'm saying?
So
but like
I'm gonna tell you something. I know a nigga who did it in college. I went to college with him, and he self-nicknamed himself Kid. And literally to this day, people call him Kid. He made it up once he got to college. Like nobody growing up in his neighborhood, his parent, nobody ever called him this. He made it up and literally that's what people know him as. Not even joking.
He did it. He did it.
Not even joking.
And he's not a comedian or an actor or anything like a rapper.
Well, he DJs now, and now he uses DJ Kid. But when he made it up, he wasn't none of that. He just was a regular person.
Okay.
Yeah, he just did it. Maybe that was the start to his whole DJ thing. Like maybe I get him to call me Kid, then they'll believe I'm a DJ later. Maybe that was the process. I don't know. But either way.
And Rudy, your name, had people always called you Rudy, or was that something you took on when you became a comedian?
No. That's that. Oh God, no. I don't know who was the first person to even ever say Rudy. I've always known that Rudy was my nickname and Ruel was my given birth name. Sure. I've always known that since a kid, and I don't know who said it first. I don't know where. I don't know. Couldn't tell you where it came from, why it was said. I don't know.
Dude, I remember when I saw your name, we were sitting in your car at Caroline's and you plugged in your iPhone. And I was like, who the fuck iPhone is this?
Right. Yeah, Ruel, man. Yeah, it's a biblical name. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. It's Exodus 2:18, believe it or not.
Wow.
But
just had it on deck right there.
Well, when you get a biblical name, like you're gonna know where it's at. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's a unique one. Like if it was Matthew, that's one thing. It's a whole book. But like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, if you got a name like Ruel, you're gonna know where it's at. You have to.
Exodus. So that's old. That's Old Testament then.
Yeah, it's basically it's he's better known in the Bible as Jethro, which is Moses' father-in-law.
Okay.
But basically, you know, they have like a Hebrew name and a Greek name, and Ruel was the Hebrew name.
We just became that much closer.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're from my book. All right, come on. Tell you about it.
I have on sandals right now as we speak. No, yeah. So, but Rudy. So no, Rudy's definitely not Rudy's just what I go by. Like even when I was in school, like I would hate having substitute teachers because I try to go to them like, hey, don't say Ruel. Like nobody goes right. Just say Rudy. Like that's me. You know what I'm saying? And some people still try. I know you want to be called Rudy, but how did you say you pronounce it? Is it Raul? What is it? Right. Rayvel? There is no V nowhere in there. Reuel? I'm like, and so then now everybody wondering, who is Raul? Everybody turned around.
Right.
Who is Raul? Rudy, you Spanish? No, dude, that's not my name. So, you know, I dealt with that whole thing. But yeah, that's my history. Anyways.
Dude, I've known some black guys in my life that like they're just named Carlos, but they're not Spanish at all.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I've known a couple guys like that. Juan. You know,
that's just like Mario. I mean, that's kind of been adapted to just be like black people have just kind of adapted that as just like, you know, we just take the accent out instead of saying Mario or whatever, you know.
Right.
We just be like that's Mario. May call him Rio for short. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mario Chalmers.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the thing. I think it really only gets spicy if their last name is like Sanchez. Then you got to be like, okay, who fucked who? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. But when it's the first name, their parents are just doing some shit. So anyways, we got 3 movies that we come to talk about. No guest this week, so we don't have to worry about any type of interviews. Just the 3 of us, the originators. Well, not really. One of them supposed to be here. Anyways, we're not gonna him. Anyways, so we're here. We got 3 movies: Jackie Brown, Monsters Ball, and Why Did I Get Married? That is the order we're gonna talk about them in. I think this is a pretty good picks for as far as like collectively. So shout out to all the filmmakers, the actors, and everybody involved in these films. Congratulations on getting these films done, get them to the big screen. And do not take anything that we say personally, and I guess unless you like it, and then you can take it personally. Jackie Brown, 1997 film directed by Quentin Tarantino, starring Pam Grier and Samuel L. Jackson.
Starring Pam Grier
and Samuel L. Jackson, and of course, the host of others. So I don't have to explain the thumbs. We already know how the thumbs work between the 3 of us. So we'll go ahead and give the thumbs. But after we give the thumbs, I want to say one quick thing before you guys get going. So let's give the thumbs in reference to how we feel about this movie. Thumbs up, obviously for 10, thumbs down for 0, and then you can, you know, work your way somewhere in between on your number spectrum. All right, here we go. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, and 3.
Two thumbs up? Oh my god!
Right, you're right. I don't give it a 10. So let me curve it just a little bit, but still a thumbs up nonetheless. Now I just want to point something out real quick. Just a quick side note. Not that this has anything to do with you two specifically, but just for the people.
Is this about Quentin Tarantino?
No.
Oh,
okay. Can I talk, sir?
Let him say it. It's like right before you're
right.
I guess.
Right. But no, what I'm saying is, like I said, it has nothing to do with you two because we've never really discussed this. But for people to give Tyler Perry so much shit about the wigs he put on people's head, when I tell you, I've seen this movie before, even prior to now. I hate Samuel L. Jackson's hair in this fucking movie. I don't care if it's hanging out loose. I don't care if it's in a ponytail. The fucking chin shit. All of this shit to me is so aggravating. Like, it is just so annoying. That's just a quick sidebar. Has nothing to do with the movie. Okay. Now,
Is that why you didn't give it a 10?
no. That's what I'm saying. That didn't sway me one way or the other. Like that I just didn't like it.
I thought talk about how Quentin Tarantino uses the N-word.
Well, that's what you get for thinking. All right. So I like Tarantino as a filmmaker. I don't know why you think that. Because I say that he definitely uses the N-word and all this stuff. I mean, granted, like even with a movie like this, like it's catered to black people, and you got somebody like Samuel L. Jackson, like he's going to use nigga, but at the same time, then you hear this whole stereotype of, well, Quentin Tarantino makes people say the exact lines that he wrote. Well, did he write nigga this many times? You know what I'm saying? Or is this Samuel L. Jackson improv? That's just a question that does come across my mind when I watch this movie. But nonetheless, one thing I love about Tarantino specifically, I don't know if it's, I always say this because I said the same thing when we watched Django. I don't know if it's him directly or the cinematographer, because I didn't pay attention to who the cinematographer was for both movies, but obviously he has some type of play in it because it's happened in more than one movie. But like his use of crane shots are like phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Like I really, really love how he does that. Blocking, he's always very, very, crisp with blocking, can allow one long scene to kind of play out, you know what I'm saying? Even if he wants to cut from it, you can still tell that he still used the bulk of that one, long shot, and then just may have just spliced in a quick little, what they call it, the L cut or J cut or whatever, just, quick little clip just of something else while the audio is still playing from the other scene. And so I think all that's phenomenal. The acting jobs, I always say Chris Tucker don't get enough credit for his acting ability, because though he could be a comedic actor, I always say that like how he was in The Fifth Element, I mean, just really showed his range. You know what I'm saying? And even in this movie, like he had such a small part in reference to like how long he was in the movie, but like his name carried out even throughout the whole movie.
He was very integral to the film.
Even to the degree of that, those who know about, just say credits, he got a single card credit in in the opening, like with everybody else. He wasn't on sharing a car with somebody else. It said Chris Tucker as Beaumont. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So and even just his performance, and just that, though a scene of him not even having to move, but just how him really feeling like, damn, man, I just got out of jail. You want me to, you know what I'm saying, go out here, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't trying to get in this trunk. I really felt that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it really brought to life. And of course, Samuel Jackson is just, always phenomenal. Obviously him and Quentin Tarantino have a good relationship. They do, a lot of movies together. I mean, I think it's an overall good movie. If I had to pick a flaw, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that Pam Grier worked for Jackie Brown. I'm not going to say that there couldn't have been somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wasn't bad. I'm not saying bad in any stretch. But like when I think about Jackie Brown, like I feel like with what she was and what she kind of like stood for, I kind of felt like Jackie Brown made people kind of more want to be like Pam Grier, as opposed to Pam Grier make people want to be like Jackie Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't understand what you mean.
Like somebody can make you want to be a character. Like, oh man, Sylvester Stallone maybe want to be Rocky. Such and such, Chadwick Boseman maybe want to be Black Panther. Whatever. Like this person made me want to be who they were. Will Smith made me want to be the Fresh Prince. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to me, I feel like Pam Grier did a great job. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like. When I think about this Jackie Brown person, like there were just certain scenes and certain things that she did with her actions. It took me out of, it just took me out of Jackie. I wasn't convinced of Jackie. And then one last thing, and I'm done. I'm shutting up completely. I really, really hate Tarantino's style of editing at the wrong times. Like when Pam Grier and Samuel Jackson is in the dark, when she's putting the guns to his nuts and stuff like that. Bro, don't do the little screen roll to the half split shit. showing the fucking the bail bondsman do, you know, what he did. Like, I don't do that. You're taking away from this moment to me. I hate that. Like, he does different things, and even outside that moment, there's other editing things that
style,
that
identity.
But I'm saying, I get that that's his style, but what I'm saying is, but to me, when you do certain things at the wrong time, it takes it out of the mood, and that was one of the main ones for me. I'm like, bro, I don't. If you're gonna do this, because he has like a comedic way of editing shit. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like,
I don't think it's comedic. What I think it is it's
funny.
like dated. It's like it's an homage to like the 50s and 60s and 70s like blaxploitation movies, which he did on purpose.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm not saying don't do it. But I'm saying it's done at the wrong moment. And that's just one example.
That example, I mean, when that example was going on, that's when he is in the moment realizing that she took his gun. And then you're realizing, as Samuel Jackson is like everybody's realizing that this gun is now in play.
Right.
Because she took it from the thing.
But see, for me, like when he did it at the end, where he basically showed the same scene from everybody's angle, Pam Grier going into the dressing room, the white girl going into the dressing room, the white guy watching all this happen. Like when he's showing everybody's different perspective from that same thing, like to me, that didn't necessarily take it out of me, like, because that other style of editing makes me think of, okay, I'm still watching the movie. When I seen the three different perspectives, that didn't take me out of, oh, this is really going on. That just drew my interest in more, because I'm getting everybody's perspective that way. And for me, I appreciated that more than that, or even it was some other stuff. I wish I could think of it, because I don't want to just harp on that one thing, because that wasn't necessarily like the worst of the worst. But that was just one thing I remember to bring up, that, you know, that it happened at a moment where I was more interested in what was going on in the dark, with them turning the lights on and off and stuff like that. Like that was a pretty, you know, deep scene. So when you do that, I lose the essence of that for me.
Go ahead, DA, because I have a long love letter that I've written for this movie, so I want to hear what you have to say.
Honestly, I enjoyed the movie. I think it's a very classic Quentin Tarantino. I think, was this right after Reservoir Dogs?
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction came before this. But you can.
So it was Reservoir Dogs was first, then Pulp Fiction, then Jackie Brown.
But you definitely, you know, get a sense of who Quentin Tarantino is, and his style of storytelling. I think, me personally, I'm a huge fan of how he tells the stories and keeps us interested. You know, a lot of people actually didn't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, whereas I found it very, you know, enticing. But like I said, it's just classic Quentin Tarantino. I love how every character is playing out. You know, especially Samuel Jackson, when he's going to, you know, get all these bail bonds, and he he's using his, I guess, his finesse. He's finessing, I guess, this character. I forgot his name. The Bell's bondman shop owner, and he's like, you know, just using his charisma to, like, you know, lie and whatnot. But the Bell's bondsman is knowing that he's lying and whatnot. So I think, like I said, all the stuff that's playing out and everything in this movie is fun to watch, if that makes sense.
I don't disagree. I gave it a thumbs up. I think this is a great movie. Like I said, I've seen it before.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to like speak on something when we all agree, because, you know, we all agree on it, and
right,
we are just going to really just find little things that we enjoyed about the movie. And me, like
I'm saying, I'm not picking out the whole editing thing just to be nitpicky. Like that was really a problem for me. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just really a thing. Like I just really, because like even in, I think there was maybe a time in Django where he may have done like a real quick zoom in on Jamie Foxx, something like that, which to me, I felt like that was fine, because like it was like this whole Western vibe, you know what I'm saying? So like it fit, like whatever. I'm not really tripping, but I was really in tune with this single shot of Samuel L. Jackson and Pam Grier doing the blocking, going back and forth between rooms, you know what I'm saying? And this camera almost just kind of following as if like they don't even know it's there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm in love with this scene. You know, each person, you know, who thinks they got the power at the time, they turn the light on, they turn the light off. Turn the light on, turn the light off. She fixes the drink the whole time, whatever like that. And then all of a sudden, you know, boom. Like for me, I was fine with finding out later that you know how she got the gun and she took it, whatever like that. I didn't need it in that moment. For me, that's what I'm saying. Like the movie's great, but I just that certain things like that and other little things when it came down to like the editing and in the moment he chose to use that particular edit, it just sometimes it just reminded me like, oh yeah, this is a movie again. You know what I'm saying? This is whatever.
One thing I do find fascinating about this movie is kind of the blatancy of the subtext. It's like subtext, but you it's kind of still on the surface, you know, if that makes sense. Like when he was when he was basically threatening Robert De Niro character after he killed I think his name was Boomy or Boley. After he killed him, he's like, you know, basically, you fuck with me, you're gonna die and whatnot, you know. And I think that was great, you know. I really enjoyed seeing some of the subtext and really watching how this, I want to say, crime drama unfolded. You can go ahead, Lonnie. I'm done.
You know, I don't. The only thing I would say I disagree with is Rudy. I mean that that editing style is very distinctly Quentin Tarantino. You see that in almost all of his movies. There's some versions of that. You know, each one of his movies is basically his love letter to a different genre, and this genre is black exploitation films from the 70s, and that is easily shown just from the name of the title and who he chose to have this be in this film, which is Pam Grier, who was a star of the 70s black exploitation films. Also you said that you didn't like some of Pam Grier's, like, I guess, acting in this film. But to me, I think this film isn't the film that it is without Pam Grier. The whole point of this movie, it was written for her specifically. Quentin Tarantino wrote this movie for Pam Grier. I don't know if you guys know that, but he had a part. He wanted to get her into Pulp Fiction, but there wasn't a role for her. So he set her aside and was like, I'm going to write you your own character, which ended up becoming this entire movie based on a novel. And in the novel, Jackie whatever is white. So he changed the whole thing just to get Pam Grier in this film. And I don't know if you guys are catching, DA, you're talking about subtext. The subtext of this film is people reaching kind of the sunset years of their life. Like they've lived their whole lives and now they're reaching kind of the end of their prime. And Quentin Tarantino is such a genius that he hired actors who were at that part of their life. Pam Grier was one of the most famous people on the planet in the 70s. And here we are in the early 90s. She's done. Like, her career is pretty much over. And he got her in this film playing this character, which is why I think she should have been nominated for an Academy Award, because I thought she acted extremely well in it. Robert Forster, also the same thing. Do you guys remember the scene where he's talking about his hair, where he got the surgery for his hair?
Oh, yeah.
That was real. He really did that. He was talking to Quentin Tarantino about it. And Quentin Tarantino was like, let's put that in the film. Like, that seems like it would be real for the character. Robert Forster was very famous in the 60s and 70s for doing these kinds of films also. He was like a cop, a private investigator. He did a lot of those kinds of films. And then here he is at the twilight of his career. He didn't even have an agent when he booked this movie. And so this movie is just brilliant. I think this movie had one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. I don't think any other film that I've seen, honestly, has a better soundtrack. It's so good that they even start talking about it in the film. Like they even start mentioning the music, and you see, this is just I think this honestly might be my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. And I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan.
I don't know.
I love Inglourious Basterds. I love Django. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pulp Fiction. But I think this might be my favorite of all of them. This film is perfect.
Mine's definitely Django. I would just say this real quick. I don't disagree with anything that you say about the movie. Nor do I disagree with even how you feel about Pam Grier. But this is what I will say. I feel like, granted, he could have wrote the movie for her, whatever the case may be. All these different things are fine and true. To me, I just still feel like there were certain times I felt like, okay, yeah, like this is Jackie Brown. And then there were certain times I was like, damn, Pam, you're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
what scenes?
I would have to go back. You know what I'm saying? And when I say damn, Pam, you're doing too much, I'm quoting Moneybagg Yo. That's from a song, but I'm saying that's her name. But I'm just saying in the sense of just like I didn't believe that to be Jackie Brown as much. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But even with it being for her, or even with him using like the blaxploitation style of film, all that stuff may be relevant. All that stuff may be, factual. It still does not change the fact that I just didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like Tyler Perry has a very distinct way of making movies.
Oh, yes, he does. And we're going to talk about that.
But I'm saying, and a lot of people don't like it. And this is what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that he's going to necessarily change it. Doesn't mean Tarantino's going to change it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he needs to change anything. I just don't like it. I don't care who he got it from. I don't care what genre, wherever it came from. To me, when you do certain things, and I'm watching the movie and I'm into the scene, when certain things happen, it's not my fault if it takes me out of the scene. It just happened. Sure. I didn't prematurely anticipate it coming and was like, oh yeah, here go that edit again. I wasn't even thinking about it. Like, it's been a minute since I've seen this movie, so I wasn't even really thinking about it. And when it happened, I was just like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that, what was that about? That's just really what crossed my mind. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't, but nothing that I disliked about this movie in any way, shape, or form makes me look at this movie as a bad movie at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not shitting on this film. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that all the performances were great. I think Pam Grier was great. I'm not knocking her performance, but there were just at times where I just felt like this is who Jackie Brown is. And then there were other times I just felt like this is just Pam, portraying Jackie Brown.
Sure.
And I will give Tarantino credit for a shot that I'm assuming it happened this way. I mean, you can't really prove it in the film, but when she's entering I want to say maybe it's the mall. She's entering the mall to go do the whole switcheroo inside the dressing room or whatever. That when he trailed her going along that blue wall, like going inside there, I'm pretty sure that blue wall is not the entrance of where she actually went inside of, because even the way that he cut it, but I felt like because BA, we learned about colors and all that different type of stuff when it comes down to the film, and I really felt like that was he seen that and was like, yo, I really need this shot, and she could just walk into this door, because after she walked into the door, then it cut into her now being inside the mall. Right. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is, outside of being somebody who's actually looking for that, you'll never know. But there were
some great shots like that in the movie, like in the beginning when she's walking through the airport and they have the tile, tile wall. One of my favorite shot of the whole movie is when she's leaving jail, and you're just no other director is going to do that. No other director is going to sit there and have you just watch a character walk 50 yards. But Quentin Tarantino was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm going to do what I want. This is my film. So you're going to sit here and you're going to watch this woman walk out of jail. And then we're going to take this time, and then you're going to see his face, and you're going to watch him fall in love with her. You're going to watch him fall in love in a way that no other filmmaker is going to have the balls to pull off. And to me, that's what makes this movie special. You know, forget about the fact that you have a powerhouse in Robert De Niro who basically mumbles through the first half of the film. You know, you taking a guy like Robert De Niro.
Right.
Robert De Niro was pissed about that. Like Robert De Niro was mad that he like wasn't being used
Right.
what he felt properly. But Quentin Tarantino's like, this is my film. It's my vision. You know, that's why Robert De Niro hasn't worked on any other Quentin Tarantino films after. But, you know, Robert De Niro at the end, when he's like getting pissed and you see him start getting flustered and you start, even when he's like stoned and like not really paying attention and like forgetting things. I mean, this film, it's slow, but also doesn't take too long, if that makes sense. Like Michael Keaton, monster in that role of, you know, the like kind of skeezy
Right.
ATF agent. This movie it's perfect to me. A little side note, Quentin Tarantino, when he was growing up, his mom got divorced and dated a lot of black guys. And the black guys would take young Quentin Tarantino to the movies to like impress the mom or whatever. And the films that he would go to, a lot of them were like Dolomite and those kind of films. So he really fell in love with that genre of movies growing up as a kid. And this is his like love letter to that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
speaking on your point of, you know, the homage of, I think you said the 70s films.
It's called blaxploitation is the genre.
Yeah, but
I like how Lonnie has to tell DA it's called black exploitation.
I was speaking.
Get your knowledge up, buddy.
I was speaking the year because the beginning was an homage to The Graduate.
That's so funny.
That's why I was speaking of the year, not the genre. But yeah, and you had mentioned earlier how these actors were basically in the sunset of the twilight of their career and whatnot. And I was saying that particular moment shows that where that homage to The Graduate, where she's just going with the flow.
What are you talking about? What's I don't. That was a very like you just left us hanging.
I don't know exactly what you're talking about it either.
Like you just kind of just what exactly was the homage? What are you talking about?
You guys seen The Graduate, right?
A long time ago.
I mean, I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't seen
Graduate and The Graduate. This is why I mentioned the year. The Graduate. They have at the beginning. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but the main character in The Graduate is basically doing that whole Dustin Hoffman is going through the airport while the wall is passing behind him, basically like at the beginning of Jackie Brown. Sure. And I'm saying it was an homage to I said the 70s, and then you said the black exploitation, and I was saying the year because of that. It was
because of The Graduate.
But there were also a lot of things that were from the 70s and whatnot in this.
Right. I'm saying, but now this explanation makes way more sense than what you said the first time. Like you just kind of just was just like
because also The Graduate came out in the 60s.
The 60s, sure. And then I said basically how you mentioned all these actors was at the twilight of their career and were basically on their way out. And that particular moment where she's on that little motorized walking path is basically showing how she's going through the motions, just going through life, basically. You guys don't really care what I'm saying. All right.
I do. I don't get how does that part show that she's just going through the motions of life? What do you mean? Like she's
literally just standing there while the wall passes. She's not moving or anything. She's just standing there while life passes her by. I
mean, I see what you're saying. I don't see
He's not wrong. That is a big theme of the movie. Like,
but no, I right because he's correlating to what you said earlier about as far as like where these people were in their lives. But I'm saying I don't.
Also remember there's two. I mean, Pam Grier talks about. She's like, yeah, I was 24, and now it's 19 years later. I've been doing this job for so long. I have nothing to show for it. And then also Robert Forster at one point is like, I think I've written 15,000 bail bonds things, and he's like, what am I doing? Why am I still doing this? So that's actually a good point, DA. That was actually
I'm saying, what about the walls? Is what I'm saying. What about the walls?
What DA is saying is that them showing the wall was like life passing them by, while she's just kind of like standing on a motorized cart that's pulling her through life.
But wasn't she kind of like in a rush? Because like I felt like she was kind of like
at the end of it. So if you actually look at it, it's actually telling the story. In that the whole movie is telling and is told at the beginning.
That might be the most poignant observation you've ever made on this show, and I'm very happy about it. That was a very good one.
She's going through life, right, and then next thing you know, she's in this situation to where she has to rush. In the movie, she's going through she's just going, and then she decides, I don't want to take the shit anymore. I'm going to do something about it. And she changes. I think that's...
Mm-hmm.
Does that not make sense?
Yeah, it was a good one. That was good, DA. Good call. Good point out.
At Rudy's face.
Only a filmmaker would notice something like that.
No, I'm saying, I mean, I feel it. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we've kind of talked about this before, not on this podcast, but I see that being a theme. I guess I would have to rewatch the beginning. Like I didn't really see her come from like a daze to all of a sudden a rush in the beginning. Like she never seemed like she was in a full blown sprint, but it did seem like she was always kind of like moving through the airport.
Like right as she gets to her flight, she starts to like get there. She's like realizes she's a little late, and she does like go and she rushes and puts her bag down, and then comes back out and like straightens her scarf, and then starts like greeting them to come on.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I would have to rewatch the beginning because I'm saying I don't ever remember her ever being in like okay, I'm just here and then all of a sudden switching. I don't remember that happening. I always seen some level of her movement and some sense of urgency. So I just probably I didn't see it. I would have to go back.
And then also just one last thing I wanted to mention is the way that Quentin Tarantino shows Robert Forster slowly becoming like getting turned on by blackness is just so
right.
Talk about subtext and just artful with the music, the way they use the music in this film and how he just starts like ding, like turning on to this different world, which they kind of leave up for interpretation, which I love it when movies do that. Like, is he racist? Was he a police officer? Was he this? Was he that? It's all you decide. You figure it out.
You guys,
perfect movie.
You guys remember Roma?
Yeah, of course.
You remember the scene where she told the guy she got pregnant, and then literally the moments later, while she's sitting there in the movie theater, planes start to crash. It's subtext, but it's it's kind of like in your face. That's how I feel like all that like this. That's what this movie was doing to me, like the whole time.
I think that's kind of Tarantino's style, wouldn't you say? That's pretty much what he does. He's like, the master of building tension and letting you know like what's happening, but by not letting you know what's happening.
But either way, that's what I wanted to say earlier. That's why I even respect Tarantino as a filmmaker, because just like Tyler Perry, or whoever, like they'll do what they just want to do, whether you like it or not, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I just think people should just take that attitude, in life, let alone towards your art. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we, Lonnie, as comedians, you definitely hear about it a lot as far as being on stage, but even in reference to like movies and stuff, like, you know what I'm saying? Like people have some really interesting ways of getting points across. You know what I'm saying? Like we've watched some movies on here and then y'all explain and I'd be like, oh, that does make sense, but I didn't see that when I watched it. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a very, it's always risky to try to prove your point a certain way of whatever you're trying to get across And the fact that he's willing to, do the, whatever style it is, whether I like it, whoever likes it or not, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I will always, hold that in high, regards for any, filmmaker or artist. So, and then my favorite shot that I thought you was gonna say, Lonnie, was when him and when Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Tucker was coming down the stairs, and they just basically followed him and they trailed him through the
gate. It made me a little
Yeah.
dizzy, but it was also
Yeah.
very, very stylish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
just the shot. I mean, only Quentin Tarantino is going to do this, where you just see him drive all the way
To the other side of the gate.
into
Yeah.
the
to shoot him.
thing.
Mhm.
Oh my God. And then, I knew that Chris Tucker was about to get murdered, but did you guys know that? Did you remember that from seeing the movie? So you're just watching Samuel L. Jackson lie the whole time.
Right. For
And
sure.
he is playing it that way. He's playing it like, he's lying, but he's being truthful enough. Like, oh, I'm going to take you to Roscoe's after. Like, all of these little things of like, and then you see the car open and there's a tarp in the trunk already. And it's, oh my God, it was so good. And the scene where he kills Robert De Niro, where you can see him start to like, he's like, okay, he's made the decision that he's going to kill him, but he's still talking for a little bit more. Oh my God. Watching a Quentin Tarantino movie after when the tension breaks is a totally different experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like once you're able to like kind of relax and watch the scene, it takes on a whole other life.
Yeah. I was gonna say also with that scene with him when he killed Chris Tucker, though I don't think most people would have thought to shoot it that way. It was very important that he did, because it showed, it really puts you in the element of what just happened, more than just following them around there and seeing, oh, he just drove to the other side of the gate. Like to allow, the music to disappear after he drove off, come around, and follow him, and then come up and show like this entire field where he's at. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that to me, like I said, is something that, that shit ain't just happening. Like you think that out. Like you're looking at this and just like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's
everything with Tarantino is intentional.
Well, for sure.
You know what I mean? Everything is like well thought out. And just also, who has a shooting in a wide shot like that?
Right.
So zoomed out and so pulled out. The action is like, you know what I mean? Like that part of the screen.
Right.
That is Tarantino. It's like, I'm going to take what you think is going to happen and I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah. And that's one thing. And one thing I can respect about him, like he always has like some long ass movies, but for the most part, movies that I watch of his, they're worth the wait. You know what I'm saying? Because it just deals with a lot of explanation. Even like with Django, which is, like I said, which is my favorite Tarantino movie. If you got to the end of Django without going through the whole almost 3 hours, it wouldn't be the same movie. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it's once again his style. But if Tarantino was like, just say like brand new and just coming out right now, he would struggle as a filmmaker, because content is so quick right now. You know what I'm saying? Because he already exists with this, he's fine. You know what I'm saying? But like that, but to get somebody to sit down and know, okay, like, yeah, this is gonna be 3 hours, but like I'm willing to go on this journey. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to respect somebody who can do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And when he does it, he does it, he does it at a high level. Like I said, I know DA thinks I dislike Tarantino. I don't. I just always question about the whole like nigga thing. You know what I'm saying? Because once again, he's protected by the script. But I respect the hell out of him as a filmmaker. I think he makes great films. I think he writes great scripts. He chooses great stories to tell. You know what I'm saying? Even with, sorry to cut you off, Lonnie, but even with, and I knew even prior to you saying it, Lonnie, that he had some type of like connection to like his upbringing when it came down to like black people or whatever. And one thing that you can respect, even with the whole nigga just say discrepancy, he definitely always, you know what I'm saying, like, well, I haven't seen all the movies, but for the most part, it seems like he will make light of it, like put a black person in a good light, like even with a Jackie Brown, like you said, the soundtrack, even with a Django being a slave but then taking down a plantation, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not like, oh, let me make all these black films and just show like his struggle and shit on him. You know what I'm saying? It's still in a good light. Like, okay, I'm just 44-year-old woman. I'm trying to get my life back. You know what I'm saying? But to put it in a movie cinematic way, we'll do this whole, money situation, whatever. And she's playing the cop, playing everybody, whatever. She gets away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't beat that.
Just one last thing, and then we can move on. But you've mentioned Quentin Tarantino's use of the N-word, and I think there's only one example I can think of, and I think he realized that was gratuitous, and he never did it again, to where the point that it was like unnecessary and didn't add to the gravitas of the situation. And that scene is in Pulp Fiction, where he's talking about dead N-word storage at his house. Do you remember that scene?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, did you go in front of my house and see a sign that says dead N-word storage? That is gratuitous. It was a little unnecessary. It was a little over the top. Ever since then, Jackie Brown, Django, what other movies where it's really a lot? Maybe even The Hateful Eight. But there's no other scenes where it's like, okay, it's a little too much. You've got Samuel L. Jackson saying it. It's just flying off of his tongue. You don't even hear it unless you're hearing it.
But these are my things. It was.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on 1 second.
All right. You got to pause it, DA.
I think that Tarantino, he got a little loose with it in Pulp Fiction, but ever since, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's gratuitous?
Well, see, for me, it's just more or less about this. Like, so for one, I've heard a interview with Neil Brennan, right, and he talks about how, because like they asked him, they was like, have you ever said the N-word? And he was like, well, I mean, I write sketches for the Chappelle Show, so of course, you know what I'm saying, like I write it, whatever, like that. So. And this has nothing to do with whether Tarantino says it in his personal life or not. I'm not getting that deep with it, but I'm saying in the sense of like Neil Brennan is basically saying like, I'm definitely writing it, but it's because I know that I was hired to write for Black people. You know what I'm saying? With Tarantino, he's just making his own films. You know what I'm saying? Like he makes what it is that he wants to make. You feel what I'm saying? So. And the only point that I was ever making is that it seems like, granted, I haven't seen every single Tarantino film, so I'm not trying to pinpoint his whole career, but for the ones that I've seen, which you're talking about a good 3 or 4, they all definitely, have the word nigga flying throughout it. It definitely always involves a white person saying it, and 99% of the time when Tarantino is making his cameo in it, he's one of the ones saying it. But what the point I was making is DA earlier in this particular conversation, when I was saying in reference to like, is he writing it that many times, or is Samuel L. Jackson improvising it? Because yes, Samuel L. Jackson says nigga and motherfucker a lot on his own in any movie. But Tarantino is also known to not let people deviate from the script. So my question was just simply, once again, I don't hate Tarantino. I'm not going to bed thinking about this, whatever. My question was just simply, I wonder, is he writing it that many times, or is Samuel L. Jackson got the leeway that we thought nobody?
So here's my point: is if Tarantino is writing it and not letting Samuel L. Jackson, not letting Chris Tucker, not letting Pam Grier go off script, if he's writing it that way, and it comes off to the point where we're wondering if it was improv, does that not make Quentin Tarantino even of a stronger writer? And like, to the fact that we're like, are these Black people saying it as it comes naturally to them?
It actually just makes me more offended. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Does it really?
I'm just like,
genuinely. Does it genuinely make you more offended?
Well, I'm just like, because now I feel like it's a perfection of it. Like, because why is there just so many movies? It's kind of like if I just started making movies about like, pedophilia, for whatever. I just got this genre just constantly making it. People are going to wonder, like, well, what's your connection to this? Why do you make so much of it? And so, okay, boom, I'm Tarantino. I have this connection because I have some type of Black influence. Cool, no problem. But my whole point is this: I'm just wondering, are you? And once again, I don't know the answer to this, so I'm not accusing him of anything. This is just questions. Are you using this word and making these type of films truly for the betterment and the empowerment of Black people, or whatever that agenda is? Is it more or less that, direction? Or are you just doing it because you got exposed to this and you was like, yo, this is dope. I think this would be some cool shit to make.
Well, as a white person, I feel like I can speak about the way black people feel. And
it's called black exploitation.
but this is the last thing I'll say. I don't think you would have a guy like Samuel L. Jackson, who was involved in the Black Panthers, who held his his principal hostage in college, basically a black revolutionary as Samuel Jackson is, and so many black actors be willing to dive in as deep as they dive to do a movie if for 1 second Quentin Tarantino rang inauthentic. I think that Quentin Tarantino makes Django for the betterment of black people, and I'm saying that as a white man, so I have no fucking clue. But I'm just saying.
I've already said that though. I've already said that point. Like I've already said that Django and stuff like that. Those were stories. That's a slave, but he was able to take down the plantation.
Same thing.
That's what I'm saying. I've already given him that credit. That's what I'm not taking that away from him. I said he does a good job with not shitting on black people. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that. I'm just specifically saying, as a white filmmaker, you are constantly making films that you are strict about people sticking to your script where the word nigga is flying around profusely. So I'm just wondering why that's a consistent thing. I'm not accusing him of being racist. I'm not saying he owned slaves at one point in time in his life.
No.
He hates black people.
What I think you're saying.
I'm not saying he's not a great writer. I'm not saying he's not an honorable filmmaker. I'm not saying any of those things.
I think personally, as an artist, if it were me, I would think that his relationship to the N-word is something that he probably struggles with. It's probably something that he finds to be very powerful within him and in society. So as an artist and as a filmmaker, he puts it in his films as a way for, look, now we're all talking about it, right? We all have this
you guys are talking about it.
Well, that's because you don't like black films. You're already on Tarantino. So. Yeah. You didn't even know what blaxploitation was. No, we can move on though. Seriously.
Quentin Tarantino is one of the all-time best, and this is one of his greatest films, in my opinion.
I just want to
say
that I never said that Rudy you didn't like Quentin Tarantino. I just thought you were going to bring up the fact that he uses the N-word.
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty much going to always come up. What else, just real quick, what other movies did Tarantino make in reference to, like, I guess black people or whatever, like a Jackie Brown, Django, and what else?
That's it, I would say. But he does have, like, Pulp Fiction is pretty heavy into, like, there are a lot of black people in the film, and he doesn't like hide their blackness. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like Quentin Tarantino didn't whitewash Samuel L. Jackson and Ving Rhames and even Phil Lamar in Pulp Fiction. Like, they are black people, and they're black because they live in America. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever seen True Romance, but there's a whole scene where Dennis Hopper is like, kind of fucking with Christopher Walken because he's Sicilian, and he starts talking about how he's really black and to offend him. So this is like a theme that Quentin Tarantino uses because he lives in America and he doesn't hide away from it. And I think that takes a lot of courage. Also, I think there are parts of it in, no, I guess that's it. There is you have the black guy there are themes. I mean, in Inglourious Bastards, they talk about, he's got the thing that says King Kong, and they're talking about slavery and all this stuff. And he's like, King Kong, but it's slavery on his thing. They talk about the thing. She has the black French lover, and all the Nazis are like, they're kind of talking about it, but they don't also really care, which is, a big statement about Nazis. And, he does not shy away from it at all.
Right. Gotcha. All right, moving right along. We got Monsters Ball, 2001 film, director Mark Forster.
Did you guys know this was Lee Daniels? I did not know that.
Lee Daniels, the producer. Yeah, I didn't realize it either. Starring Halle Berry, Billy Bob Thornton, which believe it, I think my first Billy Bob Thornton movie was Bad Santa. I think that was the first time I ever like really seen him, like noticeably knowing that like that's who Billy Bob Thornton was. Fucking hilarious movie. Bad Santa is fucking
He's such
hilarious.
a good actor. He's so good.
Yeah. Even in Friday Night Lights, like as a coach and all that. I mean,
he he has a very distinctive style. Like he always acts as himself. He doesn't really come outside of the like country, grumpy, kind of racist. But he doesn't ring like a Vince Vaughn, where I don't know. He just has a different style.
For sure.
He's so good.
For sure. So real quick, let's vote. On the count of 3. Let's see what everybody says about Monsters Ball. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm at a 5, maybe 4.5.
I mean, this movie is pretty funny. I think the biggest lesson from this movie, if you want to, the best way to old racist heart is through young black pussy.
I mean, I mean, for one, I think I don't know if this is the right way to say this, but I was not impressed in reference to contributing to the story with how either of their sons died. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like that was like both were like forced in the to just make them have this connection. Because in all reality, I'm on more of your side, DA, in the sense of this man racism was broken in his heart because he saw Halle Berry. I mean, and regardless of whoever she was supposed to be playing in the movie, she was still a fine ass black woman.
I think that's oversimplifying it. Honestly, I think what happened is that I agree with you, Rudy, that her son's death definitely felt like a forced connection kind of thing. But his son's death was very, very like methodically planned and thought out and crucial to his development as a character, because you're seeing like it wasn't just Halle Berry. As a matter of fact, I actually don't even think it was Halle Berry that helped him, quote unquote, not be racist anymore. What helped him was his son's connection to the little black children that were friendly with him, his growth through seeing when. Go ahead, DA.
I just want to say I don't think it was his connection to the black children. I think it was his son's connection to black people. Because
that's what I'm saying is like his son killed himself because his son didn't feel at home. You know, talk about subtext in this movie. So you're seeing, you know, the father from Everybody Loves Raymond be this racist, horrible piece of shit father.
Right.
You can see in the beginning, in the very first scene, when he's looking out the window and he sees the black kids, you can see that Billy Bob Thornton does not care that the black kids are on the property, but the father does. So he has to go out and put on a show. Right. He goes out and shoots the shotgun, says, get off of my property. So you're starting to see, this is the best part of the film. This dynamic of the father to son to grandson. And then, you know, you see now Heath Ledger is even more removed from the racism. So he likes black people, right?
Right.
He feels very empty in his life because of all of this shit that goes on. He hates his job. He hates the relationship he has with his father. And, you know, he's being forced to execute this black man, which is, you know, all of the subtext of that also was very powerful.
First of all, let's just point out really quick. P. Diddy was horrible.
He's always horrible. He's always so bad.
Was horrible.
But as bad as P. Diddy is, Mos Def is as good.
Right.
Oh yeah, but Mos Def's a great actor. I've seen him in other stuff.
Great actor.
He's
so
a great actor.
Good.
Even in Next Day Air, like he's had a small scene as well.
In the Italian Job.
Even
in anything he's in, he's so
Brown
good.
Sugar, anything. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The scene, like to show Heath Ledger shoot himself in the chest after saying, "Well, I always loved you," and then you're seeing Billy Bob Thornton realize that he's like continuing the cycle of his own father. His mother killed himself. You know, Heath Ledger's grandmother killed himself. I assume his wife also died because there's 3 graves in the backyard.
Right.
So they don't ever show you who the 3rd grave is, but I assume that it's his wife also, Billy Bob Thornton's wife. And then, you know, as they're at the funeral, the grandfather's like, oh, he was weak. He was soft. And you're seeing the transition. And then the black kids say to Billy Bob Thornton, we're sorry about your son. And you can see his conflict there of like, I was a terrible father. I made my son kill himself, but people loved him more than I ever did. And those people happen to have been black and black pussy. Like then black pussy comes in.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But see, for me, I feel like it was the other way around. I feel like the black kids were a contributing factor, but I feel like they were kind of more of like an assist more than they were like scoring points. You feel what I'm saying? Like I feel like I really feel like Halle Berry was the main contributing factor. Now, if we want to, credit is just her being Halle Berry and the pussy, whatever. That's one thing. I'm still kind of more on that. But if the filmmaker themselves want to say it was a different route and whatever else, the connection, whatever. But either way, to me, I still feel like Halle Berry's influence. Same thing with not that he was a blatant racist or even racist at all, but with the bail bondsman guy and Pam Grier, like he began to change because he's seen this black woman and was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Because when you're just looking at little black kids, even if you don't really have a problem with them being in your yard, you're like, all right, if this made my dad happy, get y'all little stupid ass out the yard. You know what I'm saying? But even then, he snapped at the black dude at his job. Don't get your hands off me, nigger. You know what I'm saying? Whatever like that. So like, that's even still just kind of just some pent up, just whatever, I guess. But now all of a sudden, you see somebody with that same color skin, but they look like Pam Grier or Halle Berry. And granted, they're not themselves in real life, but they still look like themselves in their eyes, and shit changed is what I'm saying.
Halle Berry, boy, I tell you, man, I was like,
and she was ready to pull her titties out.
Yeah. I actually found she won the Academy Award for this movie. Did you guys you guys remember that, right?
Yeah.
I found her acting to be a little over the top, to be honest. Like I was like,
I disagree. I definitely disagree. I felt like maybe the crying scenes maybe were over the top, but I felt like her acting was...
No, also the like spanking the kid for being too fat and
but that's see that moment that you got to think about that moment. That moment is not her acting towards him. That's her upset about the father getting...
I understand the context of the film. I'm just saying the acting, like I was very, very aware I was watching a movie. Does that make sense?
But see, and I agree with you, but in the same sense, that's the exact same thing that I felt when I was watching Jackie Brown. That's what I'm saying. Not necessarily in the exact, not that they had the same performance, but that was happening with me. There was at times I was believing like Halle Berry was Letitia, whatever her name was, and this was really whatever.
Sure.
Then there were at times I was like, okay, Halle, this is a movie again. You know what I'm saying? Right. Whatever. So
I don't disagree with you, Rudy. And here's the thing: is I don't remember that year of what movies came out. Halle Berry very well may have been the best performance of that year.
For sure.
I don't remember per se what movies came out that year, but like all I remember about that is the next year Adrian Brody like forcibly kissed her on stage. You guys remember that?
Oh no! What was it, like the Oscars or something?
Yeah, like he won Best Actor. So they always have the Best Actress announce the Best Actor from the year before, and he kissed her. He he won, and he was so excited. He like went up and kissed her on the lips, and everyone was like, "That's a little." She was fine with it, She didn't really care, but it was like, oh, "That's a little forceful." So, yeah, I mean, she very well may have had the best performance of the year. This movie, I'm going to say overrated. It was an overrated film.
Absolutely. Because I've heard so much great shit about it. I'm like, when I was watching this, I was like,
okay.
It's not a bad movie, but it's not that great. No. It's not that great.
I mean, it's not one of the best. It's not like, I don't think it deserves all the acclaim that it has, Yes. Did Billy Bob Thornton have a great performance? Yes. Did Heath Ledger do a good performance? Yes. Did Halle Berry? Yes. I thought it was like the first act of the movie, maybe even into the second act of just like non-stop tragedy. I was like,
Mm.
okay, I can't, like, get me out of this. Let's go.
Right.
Like, give me something. And
Right.
they did have some reprieve. I do like an ambiguous ending. I like an ending where they don't kind of tell you what's going on. I liked how they played with the fact that he had that elephant in the room of like, yeah, I executed your husband.
Right.
And they never dealt with it. They never,
Right.
I like that. I like how either do it in the beginning. I would like to see a
Right.
movie just like, yeah, I killed your husband.
Right.
Or the way they did it was pretty unique and artful. I like how he bought the gas station and stuff, but I also really liked how he went to Mos Def and had him repair his car and had the black kids like wax it and wash it, and he ended up giving it to her. I liked all the symbolism behind that, but overrated movie.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
Not a bad movie at all.
Yeah,
But
but the hype that it got, yeah, for sure.
It just was overrated, but it was still a good movie. Because I actually enjoyed the movie. I thought it was I felt like I heard stuff about it, but I don't recall what I heard. And going in and watching it, I'm just like, wow, seeing this whole love story unfold, and then this, the apparently Halle Berry got it so good that he kicked out his old man from the house and whatnot. He changed his whole life around. Honestly, I felt like this movie was just fun to watch because I'm sitting here watching this racist man become, I guess, human, or try to humanize try to become human, I guess,
Yeah, I think it's more or less about because he was. I mean, realistically, like even Lonnie pointed out earlier, he wasn't Billy Bob Thornton really wasn't racist. He just was more or less about like pleasing his old man. You know what I'm saying? Kind of because even with the job, like that was a legacy. Like be an executioner, correction, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like so. It was kind of more or less just that. So like the son was the first one to kind of try to break away from it, and he throwing up his shit, trying to walk them, leading them to the whatever. Which I don't see. I don't see how the people who sit there and watch the whole shit happen. I don't see how they get that job. That is.
Did you guys watch Just Mercy? Have you seen that movie?
No,
Dude, those scenes where they really like kind of show you what it's like to just be executed, and you have to sit there and wait, and that it's fucking gut wrenching to watch that shit. I like DA said it's fun to watch. I'm like, what the fuck movie were you watching, dude? That shit had me in like, ugh. I even had to like stop watching it when the kid died. I had to like turn it off for like 10-15 minutes and come back. I really needed to like reset. Because it's just like non-stop.
To watch it like when I tell you something that's fun to watch, like it keeps me interested. I was laying down and I'm just like, man, okay, what's going to happen?
I mean, Schindler's List keeps me interested, but it's not fun to watch.
That's a good point.
I would have chosen a good point. Word then, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, it's like I said, it's. I mean, it's I'm still here. I'll give it a 5, 6, maybe at best. Like it's not a. I think without the hype, I would have appreciated this movie more. You know what I'm saying? But because it was so, highly praised or whatever, and I'm not taking away from anybody's performance, like individual, just the movie as a whole, the story and everything, like all of it was cool. Like it was a cool movie, but it wasn't nothing like groundbreaking. It wasn't anything, it wasn't that deep. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, okay, this is
performances were good.
Right.
The setting was good. It had a good style. Like, you really felt like you were in that Louisiana or Georgia, wherever they were. And
stuck with the tone and everything. Like everything.
It was good. Two fun facts of this movie just before we move on. Number one is there are rumors that they were actually having sex in the film. Like Billy Bob Thornton and Halle Berry actually had sex when they filmed that scene. And number two is Lee Daniels was so deep in his drug addiction that when Halle Berry won the Academy Award, he missed it because he was passed out on the floor of his hotel room.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't doubt the fact that they were having sex. If I won't lie, if it was me, I would have been like, "Girl, we're gonna do this for real."
Do you guys know the legacy of Billy Bob Thornton, the fucker? Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie were married. I don't know if you guys remember that, and Billy Bob Thornton went to sex addiction counseling. He's a sex addict, and he ended up having sex with his sex addiction therapist.
Oh wow.
Legend.
Legend. Legend. Yeah,
Like
I'm
he
here to
fucked
get.
a
I'm here to
woman
get healing.
trained
Right.
to deal with sex addiction, and he was like, "You know what we should do? We should fuck."
Let me show you why I have this addiction.
Right.
Right.
You tell me if you think it's worth it.
That's funny. So yeah, Monsters Ball was cool, man. Shout out to Monsters Ball. All right. So last, certainly not least, we got Why Did I Get Married? 2007 film, director Tyler Perry, also starring Tyler Perry, Jill Scott, Janet Jackson, and a host of others. All right. So on the count of three, we're gonna give our thumbs. DA, you ready? Okay. All right. On the count of three. 1, 2, and 3. All right.
I think it's because you're not black. You know.
No, it's because I have a brain and a sense of taste and style.
I honestly,
Go for it, Lonnie. Give us what you got. No, I'm saying, give us what you got as far as what's your critique.
This movie was a hunk of shit. The characters lacked depth. They were cartoons of real people. The acting was fucking awful. I hated this movie. I thought nobody in this movie was sympathetic. The only bright spot of this movie was Jill Scott. That is it. And even she was kind of like this. This movie was a play, apparently, that was adapted into a film. I thought this movie.
No. I think it was the other way around. I think
it was a play first, and then it turned to.
I thought
nobody in this movie is a real person. Not one person in this movie is a real person that exists in life. Nobody talks to each other like that. Nobody would like be on a plane. That scene where he was on the plane with the thing, and he's like, "Man, I told her big ass to get another seat, or I told her big." I was like,
"Go ahead, Schneider. Go ahead."
This movie is truly horrendous. I was like offended by this movie. That's how bad it was.
See, I think that's what I'm saying. The point is, you know, because me and Shania were watching this, and again, obviously we're black. And
but hold on real quick, DA, because I know where you're going, but just before you go there, real quick, just real quick. Lonnie, I just want to say something only to the point of what you made about when you were saying that that none of these people are like real people or whatever like that. I think that where your confusion comes in with that is that because Tyler Perry, you know, mastered plays, you know, whatever. So everything that he kind of does, you know, transition from him doing plays, transition to the screen, whether it's TV or film or whatever. I think that because of how they may be portrayed, you just may be able to recognize that, okay, this is one of the characters in his story, just like if it was in a book or if it was in a play or whatever. But the people who they represent, which is what DA is I'm sure getting ready to get into, are definitely real people. In reference
I'm not saying that they don't represent real people. That is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying these are not people who I'm sure Tyler Perry knows of or has encountered in his real life. That is not what I'm saying.
But even with the depth, like even with you saying that them having no depth, I'm saying like I've seen this movie before, but even when the first time I seen it, I was able to see these characters and even understand the depth of them, and even because the real depth that you're supposed to see, and I'm gonna shut up this so you can go, I promise, is really more or less in their marriage, as opposed to just solely them as individuals. But I get into that later. Go ahead, DA, about being black.
So basically, when it comes to, I feel like when it comes to a movie that Tyler Perry does, you have to remember that he caters to a specific audience. This movie,
again, but let me just cut you off, DA, because I am down to take a ride. Okay, like I don't need to be Mexican to appreciate Roma. I don't need to be black to appreciate Friday or Daddy's Little Girls. Like I don't feel that I need to be a black person or Japanese to appreciate an anime.
I'm not.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying you can come along for the ride, but just know this is not catered towards you. This was catered towards this girl right here. This the
Again,
whole time this movie was on, she's on the edge of her seat, like, ooh, I can't believe that nigga would like that. And she's
right. So this is like, it's like a soap opera. It's nonsense to me. It was like, you know.
But I'm saying, this is one thing. Like, so the different characters, like one thing that Tyler Perry tries to do, like he tries to create this drama and then create a fix for it so that you can see, like, okay, for different people who deal with these real life situations, there's definitely, you know, the person who, you know, the woman who's making more money and, you know, her man is living off of, you know, her working in her shop. But he got the baby mama drama, whatever like that.
And he has to be a former football player, right? Like he has to be an athlete. That's another thing that's like all of these people, they're all like fucking millionaires. It's like, I'm not connected. This is not connected to reality. First of all,
none of them are like millionaires like that. I think Janet Jackson may have been like the richest person, but at the same time, Tyler Perry is very aware of showing that there's successful black people out here who are married, and then that's not shown a lot in movies. And so people like a Tyler Perry.
That is a fair point.
People like a Tyler Perry are more adamant about that, because though I will show, you know, the hood or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I also want to show, like, there are people who are married 10 plus years, whatever like that, but they just literally have issues. Even 10 years later, they go on this retreat, they got this expert, you know what I'm saying? But even with the expert, like, she, you know, accidentally had they son killed or whatever. So like all of these different people, once again, how they're portrayed on screen may not be your cup of tea. I get it. I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
You guys you guys think that this movie was acted well?
It's not necessarily.
Janet Jackson, Michael J. White, the guy from Judging Amy, the bald-headed guy. You honestly think those guys acted well in this movie?
I think the characters that they portrayed was acted well.
I think
that.
Because for me,
so
like,
they had what they had. So they did what they could with what they were working with. Is what you're saying?
No, I felt like they even had good chemistry. Like even with Michael J. White and the lady who was playing his wife, you know, all loud or whatever. Like they were. That's an entertaining couple to watch. Like he come down, hey, how was your morning, Marcus? Whatever like that. She just throw the breakfast in his face. That's funny to me because that's her keeping that same energy.
I know.
He exactly. He tries. I used to live. My best friend and his girlfriend. We used to live with them, and they were the exact same way. But
I mean, I also know people like you guys. Like I feel like you guys are not giving me enough credit here because
no. I'm not.
I
didn't say anything about black and white. That was DA. What I'm saying is that the way that they are portrayed, because he does plays, is just not your cup of tea. That's what I'm saying. Like it's they're gonna come off more character-ish because Tyler Perry didn't go to film school. He never done anything in Hollywood. He self-taught himself just how to do this. So in his mind, he knows how to create characters and then make this story and put them together. And so what I'm saying is, with that presentation, I just think it's just not a lot of people's cup of tea. But in the sense of being able to look past that and seeing what this story represents, to me, this is one of his best movies. It just really is.
Lonnie, I honestly don't think this has anything to do with you being really white or anything. I'm sorry if I offended you at all.
No, I'm also very well aware that I am taking a chance to express the way I feel about this movie, but I feel like I need to be authentic because I feel like this movie just did not. Okay, so did it appeal to a certain audience? Absolutely. Does Tyler Perry have his audience? 100%. Do I appreciate that? Absolutely. Does he give a shit about anybody else? No.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying with the presentation. That's what I'm saying, and how it was depicted. You just may not like that part of it. But I'm saying, but for the people who can either look past that and or who are just fans of it, because I've seen other Tyler Perry, I've seen plenty of Tyler Perry work where the acting is it has nothing to do with them being a character or not. These people just can't act, whether it's a TV show or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I've also, some of it I've just stopped watching, or some of it I've stuck around like, all right, let me see what the next episode is. And when I'm paying attention to the story, I'm like, well, damn, this is actually a good story, but these people just ain't shit. You feel what I'm saying? So the
story is not bad. I don't hate the dynamic.
That's right. So that's my whole point. So that's why I'm saying, I'm not saying that you don't necessarily it's a black white, you don't connect. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the way that Tyler Perry puts it on screen, I just think yourself and a lot of people just same way with Tarantino with the edit thing that I was complaining about. I look at that, it's an issue for me. It's not an issue for you. We're just on the on the opposite sides of it. Just when it comes down to this movie.
This is purely a taste thing for me, and right. this movie, like I said, the dynamics are real. The dynamic of the like wealthier woman and the like ne'er-do-well husband. That's my mom and dad. Like I'm able to connect to that kind of stuff, but it just was so like thrown in my face and cartoonish, and like the acting and the dialogue and the like. Was I interested in the story? Kind of. Did Janet Jackson like not matter to me at all? Absolutely. I didn't care about her at all, really. But I don't know, man. It was like that was a good story. The story of like her husband blaming her for the death of their child. Like, get into that. I want to hear about the dynamics.
Yeah, well, that's in Why I Get Married too. They go deeper into that.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Yeah. But like, it seemed like the whole movie really was basically the like through line of the movie was Jill Scott and her husband, which is like, okay, is that interesting to me? It's kind of interesting, but he was such a piece of shit about it. And then his friends are just kind of like, oh man, you're a piece of shit, but we're cool because we've been like, it was like, who would allow? I don't know, man.
But that's what I'm saying. But see, this is where I disagree, because like you think about it, like I'm not gonna say I've been in that exact scenario, but I've definitely been friends with both people, like the bride and the groom, just say so to speak, and whether it's the woman or the male, when one of them is being a piece of shit to the other one, especially if I'm not. Because like if I'm the male and it's the girl getting shitted on, I may be the guy when we go in our guy corner like, bro, you tripping, because they try to talk to him. You shouldn't be doing it at all. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? They having a different dialogue, but I'm not going to necessarily go, me as the male, I'm not going to go to Jill Scott's character and be like, hey, you need to leave Mike, because the dynamics of the relationships are we're all friends, but obviously the girls are closer because they're women. The guys are closer, so because they're men. And it was Jill Scott's story. I was trying to come to that conclusion watching it this time because I never really like thought about it. But everybody has their own storyline. But it's about her basically overcoming a man shitting on her best friend, being with the man and so on and so forth, whatever like that, and then and being able to find herself getting a man who treats her good, help her lose the weight so she don't blame herself. You know what I'm saying?
Here's probably my biggest problem with the movie, right? So you've got Jill Scott. Forget the fact that he's having an affair. Okay, forget the fact that he's like bringing this other woman to this couple's retreat, clearly having an affair with her. Forget all of that. My problem is he's having her drive from Atlanta to Colorado, which is like 2 or 3 days of driving. Okay, she's stuck at the bottom of the mountain in like snow. Nobody can reach her. Right? They're trying to call her. They're getting her voicemail. They're not sure, and they're just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If my friend, forget the affair, forget that. If my friend was like cool having his wife drive for 3 days and then not hearing from her, and in the morning, they're like, did you call her? And she's like, nah, I didn't call it. That guy is not my friend anymore. That person would no longer be friends of mine. And everybody else in that movie didn't really care. Like they were like, yeah, well, it's sad, but nobody's driving down the mountain to go to the sheriff's station and see if she's there. You know what I mean? Like,
remember, it was blocked off. The reason why she couldn't go up because it was blocked off, whatever. But what I'm saying is this, in reference to like how much the women care. I mean, they showed a little bit like when they go into the bedroom, whatever. But maybe not that heavy. But when it came down to like the guys or whatever, like. I'll speak for myself because I don't know y'all business, but I definitely not exactly mirroring what happened here, but I definitely have guys who I'm still friends with who've definitely done some fucked up shit. You feel what I'm saying?
To that degree, though?
I mean, it may not just be in that particular thing, but I mean, fucked up enough where it's just fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Having your wife drive through states or doing something else, it's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, that didn't necessarily predicate my friendship, even with me. Because then you're basing your friendship off of one particular moment based off of everything else that y'all have had. You feel what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is this: like, y'all are up in the mountains. You know, it's snowing. You can't really go nowhere, whatever like that in the first place. That night prior, like they tried to have a different dialogue. Hey man, you tripping? Whatever, blah blah blah. Everybody has a different little takes. We'll wait till the morning. We'll see what happens. To me, I feel like if I'm watching a movie. Even if I'm not watching a movie, even if that's just a story, like to me, that's just not that far off. I don't really see how that, like how we're in, because that okay, I just say like this and I'll close it out. I felt like they showed enough response when Mike was first even saying like, man, I made her fat ass drive, and he was like, what? You made her drive? Oh, you know how far that is? Or you really just call her fat? Blah blah blah, like all these different things. And then finding out, oh, I see him sneaking into the room. You're having all this stuff unfold. You're having all the different scenarios with the husband and wife unfold. This person don't want to have sex because they, one person want to have a baby, one person don't. This person, got BD.
But that also doesn't make sense. She had her tubes tied, so that had nothing to do with. Like the one that was interesting to me was the guy that had the STD, and he didn't want to have sex. That was that one made sense to me. But she ended up having had her tubes tied. So why didn't she want to have sex?
But he didn't know it. It was like,
okay, but she didn't want to have sex with him.
But
so what was that about?
Because if you have sex and your tubes are supposedly not untied, you're going to end up pregnant. So if you keep having sex,
I understand why he thought she didn't want to have sex, but why did she not want to have sex?
That's
she
what I'm
knows
saying.
Her tubes are tied. I understand. So she knows her tubes are tied.
But if it's a lie, you have to keep up with the lie. Like it's one thing if both of y'all know, then yeah, we can have as much sex as we want to, and the baby coming anyways. But if you're expecting me to still be able to conceive and I can't because I've lied about my tubes being tied, if we have sex, then you're gonna be wondering, why you not getting pregnant? That's
flimsy to me.
Well, I mean,
keeping up the lie, I don't know, flimsy.
I'm saying if you lie and say that you got a vasectomy. Like, and if you just smashing your wife and busting the side of her, eventually she can be like, well, let's go to the doctor and get this checked out. And the doctor will be like, oh, well, it ain't nothing wrong with him. He just got his shit snipped. He just can't have it. And then she can be like, oh, what the fuck? Then the lie now comes out.
I get it. I understand.
It's the same thing in reverse. I'm saying it's the same thing in reverse.
Weak.
I mean, hey, listen, that's fine. If you think it's weak, that's neither here nor there. But these, I'm just painting the picture that these are not far-fetched scenarios. These are not like off the wall, whatever. Like
again, the scenarios are not my issue.
But I'm saying even with you saying like if my friend would have made his wife drive, blah blah blah, he would have not been my friend. Yeah, okay. But what if that same friend saved you from a burning building when y'all were 12? What if that same friend, saved you from getting jumped or whatever? You're not gonna just let that go off of that one decision. Now,
but they didn't establish that. They didn't establish their closeness in order for it to be okay. That he had let his wife
they all been friends since college. They're grown people.
They say it, but they don't. I don't feel it.
Lonnie, you just don't like the movie.
You have to doubt Chris Tucker and Ice Cube's relationship, or that they're close because you feel it. They don't say it. Oh, well, we've been friends since they don't say anything.
But they're hanging out just like they did in the movie. Like everybody, they're in one location. They're hanging out all day. This is the one person who he's hanging with outside of anybody else in the hood. That makes it clear. Okay, this is his friend. We don't know if somebody says somebody from a burning building friend. We just know, okay, this is his friend. They could have just became friends a year ago or when they was kids. We just know this is his friend because this is who he's spending the whole movie with. That's what I'm saying. So we're not getting that level of depth with anybody. You just don't like the movie. That's just what it is.
No, I don't.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? That's fine. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. Same thing.
I hope that somebody worked on this movie, and after it came out, they were like, you know what? I'm going to do what my dad said. I'm going to be a plumber. I'm going to follow my dream, and I'm going to go back to trade school. I hope that's what happened after this fucking piece of shit movie.
I'm telling you, I kid you not, Lonnie. I'm not a huge fan of Tyler Perry either because of some of the things that you mentioned, But when I was watching this last night, I'm sitting there with Shania and I'm like, girl, that's you right there. Like some of the stuff the girls were doing, I'm like, girl, I had a flashback. You know,
Right.
it's so relatable sometimes that it's just. Yes, I agree that the acting was not up to par. I definitely agree with that. But because I'm so into the story, it doesn't even bother me that much. It's not something like, oh, I can't get into this story because their acting is bad. I'm sitting there, me and Shania, we are literally being black people in the movie theater talking loud.
You gotta look past bad acting and daddy's little girls. I mean, it's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if it's just because Tyler Perry just is really good at giving people chances or whatever it is. But either way, you know what I'm saying? He
This felt like the
definitely
opposite. This felt like this was the only people he could get to do this movie.
this is a pretty big black cast. I mean, this wasn't like
but you've got Janet Jackson at the end of her career. You've got Michael J. White, who is
no,
a kung fu fighter.
But this wasn't the end of her acting career at all. Like this was. I'm telling you, Janet Jackson.
What did she do after this?
She did. She was supposed to be continuing. She did actually several. She did For Color Girl. She did the second.
So she did more. So like Tyler Perry revived her career, basically.
Damn.
I mean, I don't know about her like career. I just know as far as acting. I don't know about as far as music. But I'm saying like Janet, like these black actors, like this cast, like these are all like well-known people, and black people definitely wasn't knowing Michael J. White for his kung fu shit. I just want to let you know that it had nothing to do with that.
Spawn?
He
Really?
I'm saying he was more of a ladies' man in this movie. Like he's a muscular guy, whatever. That's why they had him with this, the scene with his shirt off and in his drawers. Like he was just more or less that guy for this role. Like they didn't hire him because he could do kung fu to be her husband. You know
I know that.
Right.
I'm just saying, like.
What I'm saying is,
the lack of kung fu in this movie.
Right, so what I'm saying is, so when the black women who this movie is for, when they seen him, I'm saying they weren't thinking of those films. Is what I'm saying. Like they was like, okay, hey Marcus, you know what I'm saying? Like I get why he cheats, he fine, type of thing. It's not so much. So I'm saying that's what he was for this film. Is what I'm saying. More or less of his background and his resume. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that mattered when he was casted. Is what I guess what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, I mean, I think this is one of his best ones. I mean, it has its definitely funny moments. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a the whole dinner scene is a good little, intense little moment. Everybody dropping the secrets, especially when she drops the secret of, her having the VD and, instead, what I'm saying, of him thinking he got it from another chick or whatever. All that stuff is just entertaining stuff. Tyler Perry, like DA said, he makes content in general for black women. And if you're not a black woman, so there's gonna be a chance that you're gonna have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you just either deal with it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. But nonetheless, he is currently a billionaire because of it. So I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't change either. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, shit, don't change for me. I don't care. Like you do your thing, man. I'm not saying he's not good at what he does. He's absolutely good at what he does, but what he does doesn't hit for me.
Yeah. Just the same way we felt about anime. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like we just
exactly.
I told you I get why people who like anime like this. I just didn't.
For sure.
I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? So cool beans. All right, we've talked enough.
Shania, I'm sorry if you're still there. I'm sorry to shit on this movie that you love so much.
She said, "Fuck you." No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
I was thinking about it last night. I'm like, should I really go in on this movie the way I feel? And I'm like, yeah, I have to. If I'm going to do this podcast, I gotta be authentic.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, absolutely.
She said you're fine. Don't worry. She's not stressing about it.
I'm sure there's a lot of movies that I love that she hates also, if that makes her feel any better.
Probably.
I mean, it's all everything is subjective. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to music, comedy, movies, whatever. It's all
It's really
it's all about taste. And when filmmakers, you put your stuff out there, you leave it open for people to say whatever, however they feel. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. So, but
I'm sure it made a lot of money.
But people like the Tyler Perry's and even like a Tarantino, even though Tarantino probably has just say a broader base as far as he's not catering to just say a black woman. Going back to their styles of filmmaking, I think that once you build an audience, you can just go ahead and stick to what it is that you do. You don't never have to waver. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of whoever likes it or doesn't like it, there's already people who do, and so you just stick with that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of getting to that point of your career, whether you're a singer, comedian, whatever. Like once you find your audience.
That's honestly what Steven Spielberg did. He's a big kid, you know, so he makes big kid movies, you know.
Yeah. Steven Spielberg, I fuck with Steven Spielberg though. He's a mastermind. All right, so let's do we'll go in reverse order. We'll start with Why Did I Get Married? In reference to the budgets and box office. All of these have budgets and box offices, so no Rotten Tomatoes this week. So, what do you think the budget was for Why Did I Get Married? 2007 film.
I would say this movie probably had the biggest budget of all of them, but not that big.
I want to say
15 million? $15 million?
15?
20.
You going with 20?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, looks like Lonnie's already on the roll. It was actually 15 on the head. You have no help, DA. It's just you, man. So if you get stomped to the ground, you gotta wear this whooping from the champion Jew by yourself, man. There's nobody here to help, offset them. All right, and then what do you think about the box office? What do you think it made in the box office? How many black women do you think?
A lot.
How many Shanias was in the theater talking shit?
70 million.
70?
55.
55?
I mean, it probably made 30 in Atlanta.
It was actually 55.9.
The moment I gave Tyler Perry a chance.
This man Lonnie was spot on. This man doesn't like Tyler Perry movies, but knows his budgets. Like he can do all the numbers. It's the time. I know exactly what Tyler's going to get. We spend this money. This is how much we're going to make every time. All right, cool. All right, Monsters Ball, 2001 film. What do you think the
This
budget was?
Probably
for
pretty
Monsters
cheap movie to film.
I'm gonna go with. I guess I'm gonna go with. I don't know. This was before Halle Berry's. This was her first Oscar movie, right?
Yeah.
What movie did she do before this?
She was in like the Flintstones. She was in
Flintstone.
Boomerang. She wasn't like a huge star,
She was so fine.
She was in. She might have done James Bond before this movie.
I'm gonna stick with maybe. I want to go with 20. I'm gonna go with 20.
No way. So this was maybe $6 million, $7 million. This is a very cheap movie to film for sure. Most of this went to the actors.
Oh wait, what year was this?
2001.
I said 2001.
Okay, I'm fine with what I got.
You said 20. You said 6 or 7. The budget was actually $4 million. $4 million. And the box office. What do you think it made in box office?
It was $4 million.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. They didn't have to. There was no action scenes. The most expensive thing was probably the prison. The cars were cheap. It all went to actors and cast and crew. Cast and crew. So you had an Oscar winner. It probably came back.
I want to say it made about 50. I'm gonna go with 60. No, 50.
I'm gonna say 35.
35 and 50? You said 50, DA?
Yeah.
All right. The actual budget, box office was 44.9. So Lonnie was the closest.
Well, we split it. I think we split it.
He went over, though. This Price is Right rules. This is what we go by.
Well, Lonnie went over with the budget, so. God.
When?
Yeah, but you went over by 30 million.
Yeah, he was still, he was the closest, but just in general. So 44.9 million off the $4 million budget. And then last but certainly not least, we got Jackie Brown. What do you think the budget was for Jackie Brown? 1997 film.
I think this was 7 million.
7? Okay.
It had to be maybe 10 million, but I'm not too sure.
I'm gonna. So what are you picking, DA? 7 or 10?
I chose 7.
7? I'll do 10.
It was 10.
It was 12.
I knew it.
I was like, why did DA switch? Why did you should have stuck with 10? Well, not switch, but you should have switched over to 10. You should have just switched over and stuck with. Cause what's so crazy? I was gonna ask that same question. I was like, so you doing 7 or 10? But I was like, I'm gonna just wait. I'm gonna just wait to see what Lonnie say first before I ask DA.
10 was my first option, but then I was like, because this was his third movie. I think for his first movie, he had like a budget of maybe $1 million or maybe 4. So,
yeah, 12 million. All right, and then box office. What do you think it made the box office?
40.
40. Throw some out there.
I'm gonna go with
50. 50. Well, there you actually, I guess, win by default in this one. Y'all were both pretty kind of off, but it made 74.7 million.
Damn, I was thinking
in the box office.
This one was mine. I should just went with my guess.
74.7 in the box office. Cool beans. Cool, man. This was a good episode, man. This was pretty controversial. I like these.
You know what I think we should do from now on is I think we should all talk about our favorite shots in each movie. Like, because it's a film. We're film buffs, so you guys have a different perspective than a lot of people.
No, for sure. Also, I think we should. It was suggested to me. I should say that we should choose films all in the same like category. So, just as an example, like when we watched the movie Troy, right? We could have did Troy and then like 300, and then like what another movie that something like that, and then just compare contrast to 3. It's a good idea. We so I do it every week because I actually kind of like when you guys or even guests suggest movies that I've never seen before. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of what I want this podcast to do, to be able to expose me to stuff. So we'll figure it out. But either way, you guys have anything you want to plug?
Nope.
Okay. Cox Comedy D_A_Henry.
I don't have my sign with me today.
It's all good. I got you. COX Comedy D_A_Henry. RudyTheComedy.com. No Life Boys Productions. We post this every single Thursday. Dumbass Film Students. And next week, if everything works out, we'll have some extra special guests to join us that we talked about. So see you next week, guys. We out.